At a Dow that wants to close in on 22,000, as you said. Now, the White House, of course, trying to restart agenda with a new chief of staff, General John Kelly's first day doing that. We've got former Navy SEAL Carl Higbie, Charlie Gasparino, conservative commentator Ashley Pratte. You know, Carl, you served this country very honorably. You know the discipline, obviously better than many, that comes with being in the military. But a lot of those guys have trouble adjusting in the political world. And I'm wondering how you think General Kelly will do in this one.
You know, I'd challenge that, Neil. I think it's the political world that has trouble adjusting to the military members. It's a new face. I mean, Donald Trump was elected because he was different. He's bringing in a different staff. Look, Reince Priebus was a nice guy, but the problem was, keep in mind that he is a relic from a party that we beat with Donald Trump. So he was brought in to bridge the gap between Paul Ryan and the White House. Didn't happen. The healthcare failed. So now he's bringing in something. He's bringing in his new muscle. He works very well with military guys. He respects them.
Yeah, but
and
that general's got to be able to tell him, Carl, you can't do this, sir. Not a good idea, sir.
Oh, I don't think General Kelly will have any problem telling anyone what's on his mind.
All right, fine. Then is the president going to listen to that?
That's the question. You know, I think so. I think
asked
Donald
that
Trump
questions here, Higbie. All right. Now, what do you think? Do you think that'll happen or what? And I'm joking, by the way. I can do that because you're remote, but go ahead.
No, I do think he will listen. Absolutely. I mean, Donald Trump respects the military more than just about anyone else on that political landscape, so I think that he will.
I think Carl, I love Carl, but I think he's forgetting one salient feature of Donald Trump. He went to military school. During the campaign, Donald Trump tried to liken going to military school to serving in the military. That gives you a certain idea on what he thinks of people. Let's be real clear here. I'm not saying I'm not here to carry Reince Priebus's water. This dysfunction has nothing to do with him. I mean, this has to do with a president of the United States that freelances, that forces aides to say stuff that's totally remarkably inaccurate about crowd sizes and other dumb things. That brings in.
I think it's fair to say Reince wasn't effective at the job. I think we can say that.
But was the president effective in giving him any sort of power over that White House? Now, here's the thing.
He'll give General Kelly that power?
I don't know. Again, if he does, and by the way, this doesn't have to be a political post. You know, one of the good things about his General Kelly could really work well here, because chief of staff, if empowered, is kind of like a gatekeeper. Cracks the whip, make sure message is done right, make sure people see the president when they're supposed to see the president, keeps the whole thing contained. That's something that he can do if empowered, and it's a big if.
You know, Ashley, a chief of staff really is the gate stop, right? The schedule maker. And this is a freelance president. This is a president who got where he is, not according to these type of restrictions or schedules or set rigid, appointments. So how is a retired general going to get him to do that?
I honestly don't know. I think the interesting part here is the fact that we have a president who continuously likes to say you are fired. He has not really gotten out of the reality TV mindset. He has made it so that way he is the star of the show all the time. He doesn't like it when other people threaten that in any way. So, for example, Sean Spicer, when he came out for his first press conference, he did not like that he became the center of the story and that it was Donald Trump, who was on the back burner there.
Even though he forced him to be the center of the story by lying about the crowd sizes.
So here's what I'm saying. I think he always needs to be the focal point and the center. And I do think the problem here is that Reince Priebus was never actually given a chance to do much of anything. And he was sidelined. And I don't know how that dynamic will work with Kelly in there as chief of staff. But what I do see happening is the fact that there are issues legislatively with this administration. And putting in someone like Kelly, who doesn't really have that legislative background, how does that play out moving forward when they're looking for legislative accomplishments?
Well, we'll see. I mean, Carl, one thing, he's an impressive guy. I mean, there's no one who can look at General Kelly's background and the sacrifice he made for this country, losing a son in Afghanistan. He just reeks gravitas. Is that the type of guy you think, who could tell the president, Mr. President, this approach you're taking is not right? Now, it's up to the president to listen, but I think you're quite right, Carl, but General Kelly would definitely do that. But then it's up to the president to listen.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it comes with a level of level of force too. I think, look, General Kelly understands that the president's his boss, but I think he's going to be a lot more firm. Look, I know Reince. I think he's a great guy, but he's just not. He didn't have the. He didn't really have the backbone to stand up to Trump like this, and to the point where. Well, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's also he was part of a party that we beat that he didn't really want there.
So you think the Republicans are the party that we beat?
Well,
Yeah, Donald Trump beat the Republican Party.
No, he was the Republican Party nominee, and Reince Priebus helped him get there.
Yeah, and he had to. He had
helped
to
him
beat
get
the.
there.
I mean, but then
Reince
just in
Priebus
October, Reince was calling for him to not be the nominee.
No, he was worried whether the Access
anyone who
Hollywood
stands up to
tape.
Trump. Anyone who stands up to Trump gets fired. So I really don't know how Kelly can really be successful
But you know,
in this
actually,
role.
the one thing I'll disagree with you and kind of agree with Carl, and not only because Carl can beat me up, but the
you don't think I can beat you up?
Well, actually, you probably could. But you're both on remote, so I'm saying. But I think the president really does want change. He does want to get more discipline in there. And he does acknowledge by this very pick that he needs to work on this. So the question is, sort of like someone who goes into a diet, their intentions are good, right? And then they have to deliver on those goods. Work with the trainer if you want to liken, the general to that. But what do you think of that?
If Trump genuinely wants discipline, I would be shocked by that because nothing so far in these 6 months have shown that he wants to be disciplined.
Why did he pick this guy?
I'm hoping it's because he wants to save some face for this administration here and recognize that maybe they can right the ship and change it. But does that change the president's own behavior? I don't know.
Let's put the last week in perspective. Late last week or early last week, we thought that Anthony Scaramucci was going to be the chief of staff.
That's right.
And look what happened. He did, after everything that transpired over the past week, he turned around and puts a guy that's a 180 from Anthony Scaramucci in as chief of staff. So we got to give him credit for that.
Do you think he was ever entertaining Scaramucci for that job?
Yes,
and then
I do.
It was torpedoed by his behavior.
I don't know if it was torpedoed by his behavior. I could just tell you that I know he was thinking about it because
That the president was thinking about Scaramucci being the chief.
I've heard that from inside the administration. The other thing I would say is this about the General Kelly, and if you know anything about the military, which I got to know some Marine commandants over the years because I do a little bit of charity work for the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Association.
I have the same background. I played with G.I. Joe. So I think we're both kindred spirits.
You're super qualified for this.
Thank you, buddy.
No, but actually, I got to know some of these guys. The military is very political. I mean, these guys become commandant of the Marines and a general. Listen, it's on the merits too,
right?
But there is a political aspect too. So I don't underestimate the fact that.
Well, I think the military is also very focused. And Carl, I want you to react to this. It's President Trump talking about what he calls the growth agenda, and obviously, going back to the one item that is inarguable, the advance in the markets, the accumulation of wealth for a lot of folks. And I would imagine something that a General Kelly would say, focus on your strengths and talk only about those strengths. This is President Trump earlier today touting this. Take a look.
100%.
You look at stock markets, the highest it's ever been, unemployment lowest in 17 years. Companies are doing tremendously well. Business spirit is the highest it's ever been, according to polls. You look at the polls, the highest it's ever been in the history of these polls. We're doing very well. We have a tremendous base. We have a tremendous group of support. The country is optimistic.
That, staying on that kind of message, which I think it's fair to say the president is right when the media ignores a lot of that good stuff or says it's an extension of the Obama rally, and people can play politics with this, and they often do. But it is something that is happening under his watch since his election. Do you think a General Kelly says that's the kind of stuff, sir, if you're going to tweet, you tweet about that. You stay on that positive message, the positive things you're doing, the positive things that are happening, and don't get distracted on this other stuff.
Right, I agree 100%. And look, that's something that General Kelly did very well over at DHS, is he allocated the right resources for the right places with the right people and got the job done. I mean, illegal immigration was down 70%. This is something that Donald Trump knows. He knows the economy, he understands how things work. But here's the issue, is a lot of that is on speculation. I'm sure Charlie Gasparino will explain this better than me, but it's on speculation. And if Trump doesn't pass his tax reform before the 2018 elections, we won't see a Republican in office for the next 20 years, or at least in the White House.
I actually agree with that. No, I actually agree with that.
But what part is on speculation, Carl? I'm lost a little. What do you mean?
Anything you say.
People think that businesses are anticipating this tax reform going down sooner than later.
You're right, but
and that's by the way, I agree that I think everyone focuses on other things driving this market, and I don't discount earnings. I talk about this, but if you were to tell me or them that this tax cut never materializes, I don't think that'll go down well.
See, I disagree with you a little bit on that. I think they look at the
now
Trump,
you're in very rocky territory.
Here's what I'm saying. They look at Donald Trump as, even with nothing getting passed, marginal stuff getting passed, business leaders will look at his economic agenda.
No, I'm not talking marginal stuff. Carl's referring to that not happening at all.
Okay,
that doesn't happen at all. Katie barred the door.
I think,
my opinion,
I would just say be careful with that, because I still think
I'm not being careful. Carl just said it.
Listen, we have great corporate earnings, right? And
yes,
there's no
I know
tax
that,
cuts.
and it's reflected. But you can't tell me
Well, no, it's not
this falls through.
The
I
earnings
know.
aren't
This
reflected.
falls through. Game over.
I don't know if it's game over.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
telling
agree.
you that it's.
I
don't
think
know
it's
if
completely
Carl agrees,
game
and he's
over.
a Navy SEAL. He and I are close SEALs here.
I took economics. I took one class of economics. No.
Yeah, I had GI Joe soldiers. It was a long and stormy night.
I'm a trained economist after one class. But
Ashley, do you think there is something to that? Because I always think that, and I kid Charlie, but he's great on these issues, but I think that there is something going on with the markets that maybe supersedes the expectations of regulatory relief, tax cuts, and the rest. But if there was a finality that where we realize, oh my gosh, these taxes aren't going to be cut. These guys are as disorganized as they were on health care, and the finality of hearing that it ain't going to happen, man, oh man, I don't think that would be good. What do you think?
No, I think there
Real
will be
bad.
some serious repercussions moving forward if that ends up happening, just like there will be with healthcare. I mean, people are very upset about what has happened and what has transpired. But shame on Congress for doing what they did with the healthcare bill in the sense of
they're ridiculous, just ridiculous.
They chose to not have an open debate process. They chose to rush something through that wouldn't actually have been significant anyway by the relief that people need from the Obamacare,
still don't.
dysfunction.
I think the American
But
people would have lived with something, even if it was weak.
I think so too.
But they
However,
couldn't
what I'm
even
saying is
cobble
they
that
owe
together.
this to the American people, and then tax reform needs to happen for the American
before-
people and for businesses. So if that doesn't happen, there will be outrage.
Okay, before we scare people into selling all their stocks if tax reform or tax cuts,
You started it.
I'm just going to tell you that there are really
I
good
started it.
countervailing
Yeah, well, that's
arguments
true.
that there won't be an implosion of the markets. Namely, Trump is net
If we
better
don't
than
get
Hillary.
if they've already failed on healthcare, and you're quite right, the market's held up through that, continue to soar even after that. You don't think if there was a finale, if Paul Ryan or Mitch McConnell came before the American people and said, you know, try as we might, we can't agree on this. No tax cuts.
There
coming.
will be a pullback.
Oh, there'll be a pullback. All right.
I don't think.
Oh,
there's a
really,
lot
Mr.
of
Schneider Pants?
How can you disagree on tax reform?
Here's why.
Yeah.
Here's how I can disagree. If you talk to a lot of sophisticated investors, which I do every day, tax reform is not necessarily priced in big time into this market. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's priced into
Well,
this
these
market.
are all this little money spoiled.
I think the
rotten
trickle down
brat
from
crowd that
tax
you
reform,
talk
though, I
to.
mean, trillions coming in from overseas, that's a big margin.
Well, it'll go
Yeah.
up. That's an upside surprise. I'm just telling you that be careful predicting.
But that's what they're
Armageddon.
anticipating.
No, I'm not predicting
Be careful
Armageddon.
with
I'm
Armageddon.
predicting a serious correction of the market.
I think there'll be a correction, and I think I'll be buying on that correction.
Really?
Because
Wow.
corporate earnings are pretty good.
Okay, no one's denying that. I just
Trump
think
is
you're a
better.
little defensive.
Trump is better than Hillary net.
Okay, that's what you
I
cling
mean,
to all the time. that
We're not
things will
getting
be
higher
different.
taxes. We're not getting more
So
regulation.
be grateful for that.
That's good for the market.
Look, I don't know, Carl. When I see that we settle because the alternative could be worse, I don't know if that's something to pin a market rally on. You know, that's just me. What do you think? Fellow Navy hero, like
Yeah, fellow Navy.
right.
GI Joes and stuff.
Exactly.
No, but we went back and forth. But seriously, like the market is really speculating on the fact that there's going to be a massive corporate tax slash to
don't
we
think
said
so.
15%. They're anticipating it, and they're anticipating all that. And Paul Ryan needs to get on board with this, because if he doesn't, he's going to get primaried out. I swear.
I would never say
promise
this
you
to Carl's face, but I think he's wrong on this.
Oh, really?
I'm too afraid of him.
Carl and
He's
I
too
are
big.
two birds of the same
He'll
feather.
lift me with
It's
one
gonna get
arm.
ugly.
But I'm just telling you, I don't think so.
All right, Ashley, your final thoughts on this?
I just think moving forward, they should remember the responsibilities that they have to the American people, to small business owners, and to businesses everywhere, and to do the things that they pledged and promised in the
Bingo.
platforms that they all
They're
ran on.
not doing what they said they would do, and that will be the rock
Yes.
they perish on if they don't.
I love that analogy.
Thank you very, very much.
That's like very
Carl and I, that's where we
literary.
get it from. It's
Guys,
in our DNA.
You and Carl be great on the Algonquin Round Table. Let me tell you.
Absolutely. I'd be serving him meals, and he would be right. All right, guys, thank you all very, very much. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, look at this, the Dow.